like you were saying, Josh, you have, Fifth Avenue, the Diamond District, and then you get, you can get to the Lower East Side of Manhattan over by Alphabet City, and you could be over in the projects, and it's a different culture, different way people are living their life. But Josh, you brought up something very, very cool, and that's the Harlem Renaissance. Just curious, did anyone, from the Harlem Renaissance inspire you in any way to create or to be you?
Well, it's funny. I brought up the Harlem Renaissance because just recently I was talking to a very famous tap dancer by the name of Jason Samuel Smith, and he really laid the foundation. Well, not him by himself, but in today's world, he's in his 30s, and he's really like the Michael Jordan of tap, I want to say, in my eye. I mean, he's won so many awards. He's participated in so many different artistic events where he's really known to be a heavy-hitting tap dancer that's just really expanding his vision, and it's just like the things that he can do is amazing. But I had a chance to sit down and talk to him just about what he was doing, and he said he just finished working with Jennifer Hudson and Tariq on what's this movie called? Black Nativity. And that pretty much was just like the today's what's going on between back in the day Harlem and what's going on now. And so it's just like a time, almost like a timeline on how it used to be. And so so he was talking to me about that, and so that's why I brought Harlem Renaissance. But there's a show going on right now on Broadway called After Midnight, and it's the same thing. It sounds like a play version of what used to go on and back in the Harlem Renaissance era. But I mean, there's so many different artists. I mean, the Renaissance went from 1919 to almost 1930, so it had a nice, solid time. And so I tap dance every now and then at the Cotton Club on 125th Street till today.
Sir.
Yeah.
One of the best.
So, yeah, man. And so like Sandman Sims and Jimmy Sly, two amazing tap dancers, used to do that. So I mean, I rarely look at what people used to do, and I did this documentary, and so the guy comes up. He was from like Russia, and he comes up and he says, "Hey, we're doing a documentary. We'd love to include you and your ideas on the dance." And I said, "All right, cool." They said, "Can we go to Apollo and shoot some videos?" I said, "All right, fine." We go to Apollo, and where I'm doing the interview, it just so happens to be the same place where Gregory Hines was doing his interview at the Apollo.
Wow.
And so when I just start comparing things like that, he used to do his interview at this same spot where I'm standing, and I randomly chose this spot, to do the interview. And
That's
the same
crazy.
thing with the Cotton Club. Yeah, the same thing. It's just like, the Cotton Club used to be here. Sammy Davis Jr. and people like Jimmy Slide and all these great American tap dancers used to do the same set that I'm doing now. And so, like, when I think of the Harlem Renaissance and back in that era and just how music just has been evolving and changing and how people have been sampling from that time and using their stuff now, I think it's pretty amazing. So, yeah, man.
Yeah, Josh, let me tell you, first off, you are just a wonderful person to speak with, so humble, no walls up, and I truly appreciate that, brother. And I call you brother because, I'm from the New York area also, and it's like you said, when you're from New York, it's like you grow up with the people in the neighborhood, and you're with people. You can't escape them. It's like you're with these people, and you either get along or you go other ways, or sometimes things that are crazy happen. But I used to work out in Harlem, and all of these areas you're mentioning, when you mentioned the Apollo, Josh, I was a couple blocks from the Apollo, and It was, I would say, culturally, one of the richest areas I've ever been around this country. Now, I haven't been to many countries, but I've been around this country, and I know you've been to a
Mm,
couple countries. We'll get into that a bit later. But Harlem, New York, Joe Rogan, from the Joe Rogan Show, UFC commentator, comedian, he had said one
mm,
time, and I'm gonna resurrect a quote of his. He said that pressure makes diamonds. I'm
mm.
curious, Josh. Harlem can have a lot of pressure, and New York City has a lot of pressure, and the surrounding suburbs.
Yeah,
A lot of money,
yeah.
a lot of a lot of society telling you you have to perform and succeed, and yada yada. What do you think about that statement? Pressure makes diamonds.
Um, Man, it's a great statement. I think it's such a powerful message. Pressure makes diamonds, and when you said it, the first thing I thought about just like my hardships and things that I was going through to trying to succeed. So, and when I'm just thinking about it, pressure. Okay, so when I'm thinking about pressure, what am I thinking about? Having to tap on a train for 4 years straight, day in and day out, having to go from my university, travel to New York to raise money for meal plan books, tuition, and then even help my mom out because she was evicted at one point in time, help my little brother out, and still get back on a bus and try to go through school a whole week to do it all over again on the weekend. So while other people are Instagramming pictures of how they are partying and going to these clubs and just having a great time and living a regular standard college life, I'm working almost double time and still trying to be a regular college student. So that's all that pressure, but makes diamonds. So now I'm on Dancing with the Stars, Ellen DeGeneres halftime show for the New York Knicks, going on tours in South Africa, and just like headlining a whole bunch of gigs, So that to me is the
Mm,
diamond part of that statement. So that's what I thought about when you said it,
mm,
and it's just like, it's hard to be able to go through obstacles and go through odds and come out, with your head held high and still being successful. It's hard to do that because a lot of people around you might not be going through that same struggle. So when you see them living their life and you're trying to live yours, you start comparing, like, why am I having all these hard times? Why are they kind of just like breezing through life, and then you start
mm.
questioning yourself, and stuff like that. So it's hard. But at the same time, if you can just like outweigh that the time period, because everybody that goes through a struggle, as long as they, keep on pushing, it's guaranteed success on the end. So I really love that statement. I've never heard it before. I use it now though. Pressure make diamonds. I like that.
Oh God, Josh, you for the audience listening in, for anybody who may not know Josh's story, Josh, I'll give a quick little piece on it because I know you've spoken about it for so many years now on major networks. Us being a grassroots, working class, working poor, only monetarily, a network of artists and intellectuals from the New
Mm.
York area, and I tell you, Josh, we are you, brother. Like we understand you, and that's why everybody listening in is very, very humbled by your presence right now, my brother.
Yeah,
But Josh,
appreciate it.
man, quick question. So. Oh, well, just a quick paraphrase of how you got into tap dancing. From what I know, you were going to college, and, college is insanely expensive, and you're going to one of the finest colleges on the planet in this nation, and, coming from no money, you had to make some money,
Yeah,
and in order to do it,
yeah,
you utilized your talents, and you tap danced on
yeah.
the subways. Josh, please fill in whatever pieces you want to fill in on that little piece I just put in, and, how's college going now? What have you done? Have you graduated? What's going on now?
Yeah. Well, I'll start from, I guess, the beginning. I started tap dancing when I was in high school, as a freshman in high school. I went to a top 10 city school for basketball, so we were top 10 in the city of New York. And there's a lot of schools in New York, and everybody wants to play ball, so to be top 10 was major at the time. We were only top 10 because previous years, well, this school has a long history of just producing amazing basketball players, being led by Coach Michael Crump. and I went to Watley High for Performing and Visual Arts. Now they turned my regular public school into a performing arts school for more funding. They turned it into performing arts and forced everybody to take an art program. As they did that, a lot of people were just rejected to the fact that, like, at that time in Harlem, it wasn't, the popular thing was not to be a performing artist, whether it's a dancer, musician, a singer, whatever. That wasn't popular. It was more like who could play ball,
Yeah.
or basketball, who's the greatest basketball player, or who's the greatest football player, or or it was just about sports and pretty much. And I guess everybody wanted to be a rapper as well. I
Yeah,
guess.
totally.
And
Totally. Yeah,
if it wasn't
exactly. So it's
that,
like by me.
so if it wasn't those two, it was like I don't. Then you got into like negativity stuff that was going on in your community, like drugs and gang and violence, and I mean that was just as popular as being in waking up in the morning and go to school. It was normal almost, but
What part
so
of
they kind of
Harlem?
forced everybody to
Josh,
take.
not to cut
Yeah.
you off, I'm sorry, brother. What part of Harlem were you in? Were you east, west?
I was on the west side, 112 between St. Nick and 7th, right next to Foster Projects on the west side.
Oh, yes, sir.
So I was on St. Nicholas Avenue between St. Nicholas and 7th Ave.
I know that area.
Yeah. So yeah, man. So they forced everybody to take some type of arts program, and as they did that, a lot of people rejected it. I was one of those people. I was like, "Nah, I'm not taking no art. I'd rather play ball. It's over." So a lot of people from the basketball team, me, a couple of bad kids that went to the school, they said they're not doing it either. And what they did was force us to go into some type of class and sit there for a period. So, like, I remember it was like from 12 to 1:30 for an hour and a half every day, while everybody else would go to like a drama class or arts class or photography class or some type of class of the arts. We would sit in a room. As we sat in the room, we did everything from like sleep, talk trash to each other, tell jokes, fight, blah, blah, blah. And then they said, yeah, we have to do something with these kids. They hired a tap dancer from the Apollo. His name was Omar Edwards, and he came in and he said, yo, I'm gonna teach you how to tap. And we were just like, well, that's stupid. It was just like, no one in the school was ever a tap dancer. And so why would you hire a tap dancer and think that will solve your problems? And so as he first started, we didn't listen to him at all. We barely even gave him a chance to speak. But, his swag and the way he was able to communicate with us and my class, we kind of slowly but surely started listening to him. And, once we realized this could be fun, we started doing it right away. And so I just got good at it, randomly got good at it. I still kept on playing ball, but what was ironic is that it went from Michael Jordan, Allen Iverson, and like Kobe Bryant posters on my wall in my room to like Michael Jackson, Fred Astaire, Gene Kelly, and all these other great dancers.
Awesome.
And my mom was tripping. She was just like, "What is going on?"
That's beautiful.
And because it really was random. It was just like, there's no tap dancing in my family. There's no tap dancing in the area at the moment. Harlem Renaissance was a long time ago. So, the way tap dancers kind of like gravitated towards me was just kind of unreal. And so, so I started tap dancing. Senior year, I got good at it, and I became a professional my senior year. I had my first off-Broadway show called Amor Latino. It was the story of Romeo and Juliet. Instead of Montesquieu versus Capulets, it was the tap dancers versus the flamenco dancers. Oh. And I was the youngest person in the cast, and it ran for 4 months. It was able to play for senior dues, graduation, cap and gown, senior trip, all that. So that's when I realized, if I actually stick with this could be actually a profession. So.